I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Hi.
Never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Hello, friends. On August 16th, in an act of incredible leadership and personal courage, under fire, Vladislav Polskyi, commander of an assault company of the 475th Assault Regiment, Code 9.2 of Ukraine, drove an unarmored civilian pickup truck at full speed into the combat zone, which was saturated with invaders' drones, to personally evacuate 2 seriously wounded soldiers. The 2 fighters from the regiment had assaulted and successfully taken a Russian position. While they were returning, they were hit by Russian Molnia drones, suffering serious injuries, including compound fractures in their legs, so both men were unable to move on their own. An unmanned ground vehicle was immediately sent and managed to rescue them, but while they were returning to their lines, a second drone hit the robot, immobilizing it in open terrain and leaving the soldiers completely exposed. A second drone attack was imminent. That's why, without waiting for orders, without electronic warfare support, or even putting on a bulletproof vest, Polskyi left the command post, got into a civilian truck, and drove at full speed toward the danger zone. He reached the damaged robot, moved the 2 wounded soldiers into the back of the truck, and managed to get them to safety. If the 2 soldiers had stayed there 10 more minutes, another Russian drone would almost certainly have attacked them. The commander's decisive action was described by witnesses as an example of leadership, since he refused to send some of his men to face a risk that he himself would not take. The 475th Assault Regiment, Code 9.2, is a formation that evolved from a reconnaissance platoon within the 92nd Assault Brigade to become a regiment that has distinguished itself through operations integrating attack drones with ground assault units in multiple sectors of the front. An absolute legend. A crew from the Ukrainian Army Aviation made a brief stop to buy some watermelons from a group of farmers, who told them they could take as many as they wanted. The heat of the past few weeks has been very intense on the front lines, and the defenders need to stay well hydrated, so some fresh watermelons from Kherson will be a big help for these aviators. Summer also continues in the Russian coastal city of Sochi, although, unfortunately for Ivan, his tanning session was interrupted by the incursion of a Ukrainian Lyuty attack drone approaching the city flying at very low altitude, activating the area's air defenses. I doubt that the Russians, who spend their vacations in Sochi, will return to their swamps feeling very refreshed. In the Sea of Azov, the ships trying to transport fuel for the invaders are sporting a new look for the last weeks of the season, which consists of installing anti-drone nets around the entire superstructure where the bridge is located. I get Ivan's point, but have you noticed the size of the mosquitoes over the Sea of Azov? I doubt that little net will be of much use. A couple of nights ago, Ukraine's defense forces carried out a successful long-range mosquito attack against the Novate production and transshipment complex in UST Luga, in Leningrad Oblast, causing a fire in one of the main Russian energy processing centers in the Baltic. The attack was confirmed by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and targeted the fuel processing and transfer infrastructure of the port to prevent the invaders from continuing to convert and export refined petroleum products. These are essential to maintain foreign currency for their economy and sustain military operations. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, their units attacked the facilities on the night between August 13th and 14th, and the assessment indicates that at least 2 processing units were hit, with a fire reported inside the facilities. Military reports also confirm damage to the processing units of gas condensate fractionation and a combined hydrocracking unit, as well as on a loading line at the associated port terminal. These units form the core of the complex's capacity to refine gas condensate, enabling it to be turned into light and heavy naphtha, jet fuel, components for marine fuels, and liquefied petroleum gas. This raid marks at least the 6th Ukrainian attack on the Ust-Luga facilities in 2026. The port is among the main gateways for Russia's energy exports in the Baltic and has been the target of repeated attacks since March. By targeting the fractionation and hydrocracking capacity instead of just the storage or loading infrastructure, the operation aims to disrupt the conversion of raw condensate into higher value, exportable refined products, which generate revenue and logistical support for Russia's war effort. As a side note, it's really strange how Russians tend to film themselves in front of some disaster, but at least it gives us confirmation of the effects of the attack. In the early hours of Thursday, August 13th, Ukrainian Defense Forces carried out a precision, long-range drone strike against the Wildberries logistics complex in the Chizminsky district in the Republic of Bashkortostan, about 1,400 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. The attack caused a significant fire at the facility, which was partially under construction. Satellite images later confirmed that the fire destroyed approximately 30,000 square meters, which is almost 1/5 of the vast 186,800 square meter complex. The attacked site is located within the Agro-Technology Center's Agro-Park near Ufa and serves as one of Wildberries' regional distribution centers. Construction of the complex began in 2024 and was still ongoing, although some parts of the facility were already operational for sorting and distribution. Emergency services, including a firefighting helicopter, have become one of the main facilities at the border. Regional authorities reported that 21 mosquito drones took part in the attack, and that Russian air defenses in the area managed to intercept 16 over the city of Salavat. The remaining munitions reached their target. But it wasn't the only Wildberries center that had visitors, because during the early hours of Sunday, August 16, a huge swarm of Ukrainian mosquito drones arrived in the Moscow region and proceeded to set fire to the main logistics center of the Wildberries company, located in the town of Kolodino, about 40 kilometers south of the Kremlin. Imposing columns of smoke and flames spread throughout much of the vast complex, which covers approximately 250,000 square meters, and it was known as the largest Wildberries distribution center, where a large variety of items were stored, sorted, and shipped throughout the entire Z Federation. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine confirmed that their drones also hit the Wildberries distribution center in the town of Domo de Dobo, which allowed Moscow residents the privilege of seeing both distribution centers go into party mode. So far, 7 out of the 10 largest Wildberries logistics centers in Russia are out of service as a result of the Defenders' sanctions campaign. More than 20 of the company's distribution centers have been attacked across Russia, from the Moscow Oblast to more remote regions of the country. And it is estimated that the company has already lost a third of its more than 1.2 million square meters of capacity. In addition to goods destroyed or damaged, valued at approximately $5.7 billion, have they attacked Wildberries. The defenders aren't just using direct attacks. They've also recently started cyber attacks against the company, disrupting its payment and customer service systems. Wildberries has repeatedly denied any involvement in the invasion, but President Zelensky has once again accused them as part of the backbone of Russian logistics that supports the war effort, facilitating the movement of dual-use components related to drone production. Hello, friends. A mosquito working on the route connecting Crimea with Mordor visits a transport truck where a job offer notice for truck drivers has been posted, leaving this here in case some son of Putin need a job. On August 14, 2026, the 414th Brigade, Magyar's Birds, published its latest weekly combat compilation, in which its operators and mosquitoes offer the standard welcome treatment to illegal tourists who visit Ukraine without a visa. These sequences are part of the record of tactical operations that the brigade shares with the national and international community to document the effectiveness of its combat units. This brigade is considered one of the most battle-hardened and effective unmanned systems formations in Ukraine. Surprisingly, it has its origins in a group of civilians who volunteered. In 2022, among them was Robert Broadby, who bought the first drone for his platoon out of his own pocket with the goal of conducting reconnaissance on the front lines. Since then, the force has evolved from being a small company within the 59th Motorized Brigade to becoming a full brigade dependent on the new forces of unmanned systems, specializing in the operation of attack drones, reconnaissance, medium-range logistical strikes, electronic warfare, and close support operations for infantry on multiple fronts. In the statement accompanying the video, the brigade invites people to follow the live scoreboard of the unmanned systems forces for real-time tracking of the results of the work of all the units in the force, including the 414th. On this scoreboard, you can see all the verified results achieved by the units that make up this new branch of the Ukrainian armed forces. Just 2 days later, on August 16th, the brigade command reported that between August 1st and 15th, their units claimed to have deputized more than 5,000 Russian invaders, averaging 333 per day. Therefore, they are expected to reach an average of 10,000 eliminated orcs per month. At the same time, the brigade continues to participate in Operation Molochka, which has already managed to attack 228 ships of Butler's clandestine fleet.
Desde principios de julio.
And also in Operation Crimean Switch-Off, which has attacked 243 energy infrastructure facilities in the occupied territories over the last 45 days. In addition to continuing to put pressure on the air defense assets and logistical routes in Ivan's rear areas in Zaporizhia and Kherson, also, these videos serve to teach future volunteers who join the service of the old man from the Kremlin that they will have a brief but exciting career as viral stars on social media. Every invader deserves their moment of fame when a mosquito hits them right in the middle of the head. Most of the stars in this video move forward alone, which confirms that Ivan is only capable of launching waves of attacks made up of small teams of raiders who often operate separated by hundreds of meters from each other. All this effort just so one or two can cross into a hiding spot while waiting for reinforcements. Well, the strategy doesn't seem to be working very well. Another one who. Their life choices. This invader who had the brilliant idea to hide inside Mui,
Invasor que tomó la genial idea de esconderse dentro de una bodega,
where the horde had stored large containers with different types of fuel, one of which is the Mosquito, which makes short work of the illegal visitor. An ugly way to go, even if it's an invader. On the long-range sanctions front, the Ukrainian General Staff confirmed on August 17 that during the night of the 15th to the 16th, Navy units carried out a strike with R-360 Neptune cruise missiles against the plant. Polskyi Combinat, located 15 kilometers from the border with Ukraine in the Rostov region. 2 workshops producing explosives and gunpowder were destroyed, and 4 additional workshops were damaged. This incursion is important because the Polskyi Combinat specializes in the production of solid propellants for rockets used in the Hurricane, Smerch, and Tornado S multiple launch rocket systems, as well as for air defense missiles and aviation weaponry. Satellite images confirmed impacts on at least 5 production facilities, with penetrations in the roofs and damage to the anti-drone nets that protected the buildings. Signs of fire were also observed at the positions of the air defense systems that protected the facilities, including a Pantsir.
Y los radares de iluminación y guía asociados a una batería S-300 o S-400.
Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhail Fedorov announced on August 14th that national teams have begun combat testing of advanced jet-powered interceptor drones, capable of reaching speeds over 600 kilometers per hour. He indicated that during the past year, our team has collaborated with interceptor drone developers. Recently, I visited a facility whose drone can reach speeds over 600 kilometers per hour. It is already in the combat testing phase, and we hope to see the first confirmed interceptions soon. Investing in R&D, testing, and increasing production is essential. The conventional Gerund drones powered by propellers have been the basis of the Horde's massive attacks against Ukrainian cities and are gradually being replaced by faster, jet-powered variants such as the Gerund 4 and the Gerund 5. These systems reach cruising speeds of 350 kilometers per hour with a terminal attack speed of up to 600 kilometers per hour. This drastically reduces the detection and attack windows for the Ukrainian interceptors, which are propeller-driven and optimized to destroy slower targets. In the latest massive attacks, the new jet-powered drones now make up half of the attack waves. So developing a cheap interceptor capable of destroying them is urgent for Ukraine's air defenses. In a nighttime precision operation carried out overnight from August 15th to the 16th, units of the Ukrainian Navy attacked the launch positions and deployment area of a Russian coastal defense missile system, K-300P Bastion P, in temporarily occupied Crimea. The attack targeted a concentration of this scarce and high-value system near the village of Rezervna, close to Sevastopol. The Ukrainians reported that the attack caused significant equipment damage and personnel losses. The Ukrainian Navy released thermal and optical images of the engagement, showing targeting indicators locked onto ground positions, followed by multiple impacts, explosions, and secondary fires consistent with the destruction or severe damage of the equipment. Open-source analysts have identified the munitions used as possible Ukrainian FP2 long-range attack drones. The Bastion P is a mobile coastal defense system originally designed to attack surface ships with vertically launched P-800 Onyx supersonic cruise missiles. Each launcher usually carries 2 missiles. Russian forces have widely adapted the system for land attacks against Ukrainian territory, using both Onyx missiles and, according to statements from the Ukrainian Army, the more advanced 3M-22 Zircon hypersonic cruise missiles. These weapons have been repeatedly used against southern regions of Ukraine and other targets, which poses a considerable challenge for air defenses due to their speed and flight trajectory. Little Lazar goes to his father's grave to tell him about the adventures he had during his summer camp, and also to show him the stones he collected during his vacation. His dad listens to him in silence, undoubtedly enjoying his son's innocent words and company. This is the reality of the Z-Horde's invasion, destroying families just because of the ambition of a deranged old man. Hello, friends. A Ukrainian attack mosquito. Worried about the news of fuel shortages affecting the civilians of the invading horde, he decides to go check directly. How are the prices? And are the anti-drone protections at a Gazprom gas station in a Russian border town properly installed? Let's just say the test was not passed. In any case, so that our local Russophile crowd doesn't lose hope, reinforcements for their idols are already on the way, in this case in the form of a bomb. The invaders' IL-76 strategic transport plane full of Bukins, Bukenkas, and assault quads. Damn. Watching this video, we can see that the Russians really are bringing their best equipment to Ukraine now. I can't help but think that the plane's fuel costs more than all the vehicles inside. Wouldn't it be awesome if they dropped them with parachutes? In the air war, a Kamov K-52 attack helicopter launches an Igla anti-aircraft missile at a Ukrainian F-1 Mosquito. The missile miserably misses its target and keeps going, surely until it finds some Z-Horde vehicle with an attractive heat signature. Ground witnesses urge the pilot not to be discouraged and to fire another missile. From here, we fully support that suggestion. On another front, in a clear sign of the growing competition for control of the maritime domain in the Baltic Sea, a Danish naval drone, Dornborn X-Wave, had a very close encounter with a Russian naval force on June 25, approximately 30 kilometers southeast of the Danish coast. The device was anchored while actively testing advanced radar and sonar systems developed by the Danish defense companies Terma and My Defense. Operating under the Danish flag and with its automatic identification system active, the unmanned vessel positioned itself in an area known for limited coastal radar coverage to conduct exercises evaluating its surveillance capabilities. At that moment, a corvette from the Russian Baltic Fleet appeared. It approached with its AIS transponder turned off. The warship, 104.5 meters long, with an approximate displacement of 2,100 tons and a crew of about 100 men, approached to within about 200 meters of the unmanned vessel. From its deck, the corvette launched a small reconnaissance drone that flew over the Danish ship just a few meters from its mast for several minutes. The operators of the unmanned vessel sent instructions to the artificial intelligence team on board the X-Wave to take advantage of the opportunity and create a complete profile of the corvette using radar and electro-optical and infrared sensors. Thanks to this, it was able to identify its hull number as P531 and individually tag the crew members visible on deck. The radio frequency sensors also detected and tracked the control signal of the Russian drone. All radar logs, sensor data, images, and videos were quickly transmitted to the Royal Danish Navy. The Danes have been particularly busy collaborating with Ukrainian colleagues to develop various naval attack and reconnaissance drones, leveraging Black Sea combat experience. The Finns and Swedes have enthusiastically joined these efforts, and they already have a well-stocked box of surprises in case Ivan decides to carry out some of his special military operations on NATO's lake. On the technological front, Russian forces are testing a new cartridge for heavy machine guns. This ammunition, with a caliber of 12.7 by 108 millimeters, is used by Russian weapons such as the DSKA, the NSB, and the Cord, and contains several pellets instead of a single conventional bullet. In the test sequence, we see how the cartridges are loaded and fired at a wooden board where multiple impacts can be observed, illustrating the spread produced by the ammunition at relatively short combat distances. The name any droning seems to be derived from anti-drones, a concept that the Russians have been experimenting with in recent years, using specialized infantry ammunition in different calibers, as well as specific 12-gauge shotgun cartridges designed to increase the probability of hitting small, fast-moving aerial targets. This new 12.7 millimeter round represents an expansion of that concept to heavy weapons, probably aiming to generate denser clouds of projectiles for point defense functions around positions, vehicles, or infrastructure. While traditional heavy machine gun projectiles are excellent against lightly armored or more distant targets, the buckshot approach prioritizes volume of fire over accuracy and long-range penetration. The results observed in the published video indicate effective spread and multiple hits on static targets at close range, although ballistic performance will surely degrade quickly as the distance to the target increases. Speaking of air defense, the groups the invaders are using to try to protect their supply convoys and the rear of their units are having quite a summer. An orange one, and the orange comes from explosions, all courtesy of the medium-range attack Mosquito units, whose operators have priority orders to eliminate all these groups. This clears the path for comrades patrolling the roads of Zaporizhia and Donetsk. This strategy is quite logical, since training an anti-aircraft gunner takes time, as does manufacturing a specialized vehicle equipped with a suitable machine gun. It's remarkable how the defenders went from chasing panzers and bugs to now going after some guys running around in armed pickup trucks. Yep, this special military operation is going just as planned. A unit that participates with great enthusiasm in this campaign to eliminate the invaders' anti-aircraft groups is the 422nd Unmanned Systems Regiment, Luftwaffe, which has been systematically attacking Russian mobile fire groups for several weeks using its loitering munitions, Ram-2X and Balava, which work to clear safe corridors for the Hornet reconnaissance platforms. The 422nd Regiment is commanded by Major Mykola Kolesnik, call sign Tyson, and operates mainly along the Zaporizhia axis as part of the 17th Army Corps. This unit has specialized in medium-range attack operations for over a year, so it is likely that their experience has been fundamental for the design and implementation of the campaign against Ivan's rear areas. Their arsenal includes the Balava and Ram-2X loitering munitions, both locally manufactured. With AI-assisted flight that allows them to identify and track their targets in the invader's rear without being affected by enemy electronic interference. Both carry a 3.6 kilogram thermobaric warhead that they can deliver to targets located more than 120 kilometers from the line of contact. These systems usually work in teams with reconnaissance drones that act as observers for detecting and classifying targets. So the fact that so many of these munitions are actively destroying air defense groups indicates a clear intention on the part of the Ukrainians. The Russian mobile fire groups emerged as a response to the growing threat of Ukrainian reconnaissance and attack drones. Usually made up of pickup trucks or light trucks equipped with heavy machine guns, sometimes complemented by electronic warfare equipment, these units rush to intercept the UAVs flying at low altitude and reported by observation posts. However, their mobility, which used to be an advantage, is becoming a vulnerability, since they have to expose themselves to do their job. Once detected by the sensors of reconnaissance drones, they become slow targets that Ukrainian attack drones can hunt before they can change position or respond to the attack. This approach is already producing results because by neutralizing the anti-drone barrier, the 422nd Regiment can map and coordinate attacks against the logistical convoys that supply Russian forces on the southern front. Hello, friends. An unmanned ground vehicle from Ukraine's 42nd Mechanized Brigade was transporting supplies to infantry positions when a Russian FPV drone struck it. The device did not detonate and got lodged in the cargo basket along with the supplies. To avoid the risk of explosion during unloading, the unit deployed a bomber drone equipped with a grappling hook attached to a rope. The drone extracted the unexploded FPV drone from the basket. The operation was completed successfully. The UGV resumed its logistics mission and continued transporting supplies to the infantry positions. The operator of the Mosquito that pulled Ivan's Vulture out must be a master at grabbing prizes from claw machines. I hope they return the drone to Ivan with a message that says, "Return to sender." A couple of days ago, some of you were commenting that you no longer see space launches. But apparently the invaders heard us and decided to send at least one of their BMPs in an offensive on the southern front, thanks to which it was depautonized into thousands of pieces by an anti-tank mine. It must have been a double one, because it left no trace of the armored vehicle or its brave orc crew. You know, sometimes you end up feeling sorry for the invaders. Then you remember what they did in Kryvyi Rih, and honestly, it goes away. Enjoy going into orbit, Ivan. Here we have a brief compilation of close encounters of the third kind between the light vehicle crews of the invaders and attack mosquitoes. You can tell they were operating in areas they considered safe, since several of them weren't wearing body armor or helmets. Ouch! The last hit was right in the middle of the decision-making center. This is important and went relatively unnoticed. What are we talking about? Well, that Ukraine's air assault forces, with the support of other Defense Force units, successfully completed a multi-phase offensive operation, meticulously planned and executed along the Oleksandrivka axis, recovering more than 745 square kilometers of territory and restoring control over 26 villages in the regions of Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, and Zaporizhia. The operation began on January 29th and is still ongoing, inflicting substantial losses on the Z forces operating in that sector of the front. On August 12th, President Vladimir Zelensky personally announced the results after a briefing with Commander-in-Chief Mikhailo Drapati and the commander of the air assault forces. Russian casualties amount to at least 9,500 killed, more than 6,600 wounded, as well as a significant number of prisoners. In addition, more than 300 square kilometers of the gray zone behind the front were cleared of raiders, which is what really allows the recovered area to be considered secured. The Institute for the Study of War assessed the operation as a demonstration of Ukraine's ability to achieve relatively significant tactical advances and limited mechanized maneuvers in localized sectors after years of attritional fighting. Among the cited success factors are better operational planning, sustained attacks against Russian air defenses and logistics, the tactical superiority of their drones, and effective combined arms coordination between infantry, assault groups, and unmanned systems. The main objectives of the campaign: to stop the Russian advance toward Dnipropetrovsk Oblast and push the occupying forces back beyond their administrative borders, appear to have been achieved. What began as a limited effort to disrupt preparations for the Russian spring-summer 2026 offensive has evolved into a methodical recovery of territory through infiltration, focused assaults, and clearing of the rear areas. By the end of August, the operation was still yielding results, as between August 17 and 18, Ukrainian Special Operations Forces retook the town of Iskra on the border between Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk and captured about 30 Russian soldiers. Frontline units, including the 37th Marine Brigade, reported on August 21 that Russian logistics in the sector are deteriorating. Under Ukrainian pressure, the captured Russian soldiers described a sharp decline in morale, realizing that Ukrainian forces still have the ability to carry out offensive operations. In this footage, published on August 14, we see the work of the operators from the 15th Black Forest Artillery Reconnaissance Brigade, who have launched multiple precision strikes against Russian military logistics vehicles using Ram-2X loitering munitions. This loitering munition, with an improved X-shaped wing, is derived from the Leleka 100 platform. It combines better maneuverability and resistance to electronic warfare, electronics, and 3-kilogram high-explosive or thermobaric warheads, capable of neutralizing soft and lightly protected targets. In addition, it uses an electric motor, so it doesn't make noises that alert its targets, and it has a range of up to 150 kilometers, flying at speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. The system frequently operates together with Shark-type reconnaissance drones, which provide detection, tracking, and signal retransmission, allowing Ukrainian crews to hit targets located more than 100 kilometers behind the front line. This type of ammunition is very popular due to its low cost compared to the value of traditional artillery shells or cruise missiles. In that sense, the Black Forest Brigade has built a reputation using this type of ammunition, which they use to carry out precise and deep raids behind the invaders' lines. Specialized in reconnaissance missions for artillery and long-range unmanned systems, the unit has demonstrated its great ability to locate and destroy Russian assets, air defense systems, command posts, and high-value radars. The unit operates on the northeastern front between the regions of Donetsk, Luhansk, and Kursk. Its combination of long-range, silent electric propulsion, resistance to electronic warfare, and specialized warheads makes it particularly effective for intermediate depth strikes against logistics and air defenses. This is horrible, like everything the invaders do. But this in particular is despicable, even for a force with no moral standards like the Russians. I'm saying this because in a coldly calculated attack, Russian forces launched a drone strike in 2 waves against the largest shopping mall in Kryvyi Rih on Friday afternoon, August 21, in the afternoon, leaving at least 6 dead and more than 90 injured, including several children. The attack targeted the Solnichnaya Galeria, or Sun Gallery shopping mall in the heart of the city, an industrial city during rush hour, when families and shoppers filled the stores in the shopping mall. Grand 4 jet-powered drones attacked in 2 waves. The first impact caused fires that quickly engulfed the stores and filled the interior with thick smoke, forcing terrified civilians to flee. Approximately 30 minutes later, when emergency services were already on the scene, fighting the fire and rescuing survivors from the rubble, a second wave of drones deliberately attacked the same location, targeting the rescuers directly. President Zelensky condemned the attack, calling it nothing less than an act of terrorism. The regional governor, Alexander Hansa, and the head of the Kryvyi Rih Defense Council, Oleksandrivka, confirmed at least 6 dead and more than 100 injured, 27 of whom were in serious or critical condition, including children. This attack is part of the intense Russian campaign of long-range drone and missile strikes against Ukrainian cities. Kryvyi Rih has suffered repeated incursions, but Friday's attack is unusual because it was calculated to target both ordinary citizens and the emergency services that came to their aid. Ukrainian authorities continue rescue and recovery efforts, while urging the international community to put more pressure on the aggressor and speed up the deployment of air defense systems to protect the civilian population. For those who want to see additional content, we invite you to subscribe to our Patreon, where for just $1, you'll have access to uncensored war videos. Visit our store and discover items from Ukraine's distinguished units. Each purchase directly supports United 24, contributing to reconstruction, civil aid, and defense. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.